everybody, so I have here a chart paper. We've already learned about savanna animals, how they can adapt in their habitat. We've learned all about the ecosystem, and so now let's transition to savanna plants. Okay, so that's the title of my chart, Savanna Plants. And what I did on this chart is I illustrated some of the plants that you would see the most often or the most when you visit a savanna. So the first thing I want to show you is the grass. You can see that I put two types of grass right there. Do you want to know why I did that? Well, what about the seasons? What did we learn? How many seasons are there in a savanna? 2. There's a wet season where the rain is pouring down and everything is green and all the animals are there. And then there's the dry season. That's when there's not a lot of rain at all. It's summertime and it's very hot, no water, and it's pretty much a drought. So during that drought, the grass would be yellow or yellowish brown, right? Okay, so our grass, we can have two types during either season. The next one we've seen a whole lot in our stories. I think I pointed out almost every single time. I love this tree. It's called an acacia tree. Acacia tree. All right, so you'll see there's lots of grass down here, and it's a skinny tree that goes up, and the leaves are just at the tippity top. So I can imagine right now a giraffe who might come up next to it, and as he comes up, he can eat everything right up here because his neck is way up high. So he eats the tree leaves that are at the top. Now, if you'll notice right here, the acacia tree would have some longer roots. That way it can reach way down into the ground because we know a lot of water stays very, very low. We've seen that in some of our books as well. Okay, so the acacia tree is here, and this is the baobab tree. That's kind of funny to say. Sometimes people say it's baobab, and other people pronounce it bobab. And I think that's kind of fun to say bobab. Can you say that? Okay, so the baobab trees are very thick trees. So their tree trunk is huge. And the trunk ends up holding so much water all year round. So that way the tree doesn't die when they're in their dry season. It pulls up all of the water from way down under the ground and it gets absorbed like a sponge. Does anyone in your family wash some dishes or some pots and pans with a sponge? Whenever they put it under the water and they wash, once they're done, they have to squeeze tight to get all of the water out of the sponge. That way it doesn't get smelly. A sponge absorbs lots of water, and that's what's happening here inside the tree. It gets absorbed like a sponge, and it stays right in the middle. Now, what I did was I drew the baobab tree when it's the dry season, so you'll notice the grass down here is yellowish brown, and there's no leaves at the top. If I was to draw this in the wet season, I would put lots of green at the top. All the leaves would be up there. But the cool thing about baobab trees is once it's about to get from wet to dry season, it drops all of its leaves. All the leaves fall down, so that way it doesn't waste any water up top to give water to the leaves. It just drops them, they fall down to the ground, and then it just uses the water in the middle of the trunk to stay alive. Pretty cool. I'm going to have you illustrate some of the savanna plants for your next assignment.